6 a.m. in the Mile High City on this Thursday, November 13th, 2025. You've tuned in to the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. Happy Government Open Day, Bill.
Yeah. What are we supposed to give each other? I don't understand. What are the gifts
you
that
know
we do
what
on
I
Government
did to
Opening
celebrate?
Day? Yeah, what?
I took some of those taxpayer dollars and bought some condoms and sent them to Zimbabwe.
Nicely done. That is clever. I was not expecting you to go that direction this morning. There are layers to that joke, my friend. I'm not ready for that at 6 a.m. Nicely done. Oh, that's fantastic.
Tell us what you're doing to celebrate the reopening of the government.
What are you going to do?
Just wasting money is par for the course.
Yeah, exactly. How do you possibly celebrate this? What are you supposed to do? I don't understand.
Or some of those cocaine rats and all the different fun experiments we've paid for over time.
Yeah, exactly. Or maybe you just... maybe you bring in something nice like donuts to the lunchroom or the break room at the office, but then you decide who's able to get some. You decide there. You make these rules about who can apply for them, and
some central planning.
Yes, exactly. And you guys say, no, you're making 400% more than what the average worker is here. No donuts for you. I don't know. We can play with this thing here. I'm just spitballing, but yeah, I got to do something.
So many levels.
Yes, there are.
So many levels. We have so much to talk about today.
Yes, we do.
All right, we got the government reopening. I listened to an hour of Candace Owens in what gave me the worst headache I've had in a long time.
My apologies.
Yesterday on that one. So Candace Owens is, my goodness, talk about chasing conspiracies without ever finishing. It's like if you put Alex Jones on ADD.
Oh, yeah.
And then your brain just hurts trying to follow, and then she just jumps to another conspiracy. You're like, well, what about the one we were talking about? What about the pastor whose uncle was selling natural gas in foreign lands that was part of but now we're over in Las Vegas, and then the pastor with the shooting in Thousand Oaks who owned a Christian school, and then and then they just jump to post-World War II military operations for Christian Zionism. And you're like, can we finish a thought?
Yeah, and there are some really weird ones that what I'm surprised with is certain ones that she traffics in that are just, objectively not true. In the past, she's talked about the fact that Joseph Stalin married a Jewish woman. No. And that's fairly easy, verifiable. Yeah, this is years ago. This is, I believe, when she was sitting down. This is the thing is, again, who she's also deciding to spend her time with, because I believe that conversation happened when she was hanging out with one of the Tate brothers. Not Andrew, but the other one, who, again, charges of human trafficking. And kidnapping and some other things. So that was who she was spending time with. Again, innocent until proven guilty. But she trafficked in a series of things that were just objectively not true based on even my casual reading of history. And this is going back into World War II and things like after World War II, the Jews came into Germany and they ethnically cleansed the Germans.
She starts going after.
There's not even anything that supports that. It's not even. That's the part that I have a difficulty with. Is if you're entranced or if you find commonality with her, taking a look at some of these basic mistakes that she makes in history should give you pause to listen to anything else that she tells you is true if she's missing stuff that is a short putt, stuff that is easily verifiable with history books, and a lot of them. And that's the part that gets me.
What gets me is that it almost seems Marxist. That
interesting.
There's an oppressor out there. Some central organization that's oppressing you in all your ways, and oftentimes it's the Jews. Like, she just keeps going back to it.
And
anyways,
what's really weird is if we get into that, what's really weird is I read something just in the last 24 hours of a guy, big thing on Substack. I forgot where the news aggregation site is, which one I got it from, but he goes into kind of the history of how often the Jews have been targeted and why. And some of it even going back into the idea that, oh, the Jews are running the banking system. And he points out that, well, in early Christianity, there were laws protecting against usury, meaning you couldn't charge interest on any loans. So the Christians couldn't run banks or give loans. And when the majority of the population is either Christian or Jewish, sort of opens up one avenue of employment for one group. And that's it. It wasn't some sort of vast conspiracy. It's because one segment of the population said, no touchy. So the other people started to do it, and it wasn't some sort of vast evil conspiracy to control the world. Yeah. But again, simple history.
Oh, man. I actually had a headache yesterday. Anyways, we're going to talk about that today. Douglas County school board decisions that took place regarding charter schools, Colorado's middle class moving out, plus Lauren Boebert in a skiff. I feel like that could be the start of a joke, couldn't it?
That should be kind of a joke, yeah. Lauren Boebert walks into a skiff. And
Lauren Boebert walks into a skiff?
Yes.
Oh, she's great. She's a friend of the show. I texted her last night. I don't know if you saw. Like, she went to the White House Situation Room skiff.
Yeah, she was summoned. It was like something out of Game of Thrones.
Right? I was like, what happened? And she's like, I'd love to join the show, but I'll be traveling. She's great, by the way. We really appreciate her friendship.
Yeah,
and then I go, well, did you guys have a good conversation? All that, and she shared with me a little bit about what they're working towards and all that stuff. So we'll talk about that. I got permission per our conversation to talk a little bit about what happened, which is wild.
Yeah, so, that is crazy.
Not going to want to miss that. We have a ton to cover. Most importantly, though, you're invited to be a part of the conversation at 303-696-1971 or text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line 720-819-5115. Also, Trump and Epstein emails that came out. This is going to be like a Rorschach test.
Yeah, it is.
What did you see?
I like that. That is really insightful. I think you're absolutely right in a way. I hadn't considered that before, but I think you are 110% on this as far as these emails. It is a Rorschach test. What do you see inside of them, and how much of that is personal predisposition and how much of that is critical reasoning and thinking? And do you look at those emails and do they prove something you knew was true inside of your heart? Or does it cause you to say, this is just a big witch hunt? Or are you somewhere in between? Yeah, this is a Rorschach test for a number of reasons. That's an excellent one, my friend.
Thank you. Want to hear from you. Again, the phone number, 303-696-1971. Text us at 720-819-5115. Now it's time for News and Comment with Blake Olson.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, News and Comment.
Hey, good Thursday morning. 43 and partly cloudy in Denver. Beautiful morning. Get out there. It's going to be a great day. Expecting a high of 71 today. News sponsored by Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning at 303-777-1234 to learn more about special savings opportunities on Lennox equipment. Our top story: DJT applauded after signing the new bill. It's the end of the Schumer shutdown, the longest in history. Should bring some relief to air travelers as the FAA has announced it's freezing flight reductions. Flights have been cut due to staffing shortages with air traffic controllers. More cuts were planned until DJT signed off, ending the Schumer shutdown last night. And this thing froze. Here we go.
The spending bill signed by President Trump in the Oval Office late Wednesday night funds the government through the end of January, but it does not address the top talking point for Democrats, extending the subsidies for health care plans obtained through the Affordable Care Act, or Obamacare. In addition to reopening the government, the new law funds SNAP benefits through next year, so they won't be at risk if there's another government shutdown in February. I'm Rory O'Neill.
Colorado's Michael Bennett and Hickenpooper voted no on the bill, of course. More from the president.
And I'm calling today for insurance companies not to be paid, but for the money, this massive amount of money, to be paid directly to the people of our country so that they can buy their own health care, which will be far better and far less expensive than the disaster known as Obamacare. And I think, great support. I've even had Democrat support. So we want the money that would be going to the insurance company, which is hundreds of billions of dollars. You know, their stock prices have gone up by 1,000% in many cases, 1,000% over a short period of time, because our country stupidly pays them so much money with this Obamacare scandal. So I want the money to go directly to you, the people. And you go out and you'll buy your own health insurance, and you'll negotiate different plans, and you'll get much better insurance, and you will be an entrepreneur for yourself.
Yes. Amen. Congresswoman Lauren Boebert, who Jeff and Billy were just talking about, joining Democrats in forcing a House vote to release the Epstein files. On Wednesday, Boebert kept her signature on a petition demanding the full release of the investigative files on Epstein. Last night, Boebert rejected a claim that she was feeling pressure from the administration and said she felt no pressure. Boebert is one of 4 Republicans who signed the petition. The president will sign.
Yeah, do you want to?
Absolutely.
Let's just talk real quick about that. So,
exactly.
I'm like, I write her. I'm like, do you want to talk about the White House visit? And she's like, yeah, I'd be happy to come on the show, but I'm traveling during the hour, so I can't make it. And I said, well, what can you share with me? And she said, look, I'm committed to getting justice here. For her, this is like personal. It's like she wants truth. She wants justice. She wants the American way. She wants transparency here, which I really appreciate, right? Like that there's victims, and the people involved need to be exposed for what they did. And she said the White House wants it too. We want it in Congress. I want it personally. And she said that their hands have been tied in certain places because of laws. And she says, my hope is that this legislation grants them the legal access they need.
Oh, so that is a bright sign right there.
Yeah.
Because the American people are wondering that. I mean, half of conservatives, probably more than that, are wondering exactly that. Why, where's the stall? What's going on?
Right.
Why not open, shed the light on it? It has to happen.
Well, and I've shared with you my theory. And she agrees with me that we don't think there's anything that implicates the president, because if there was, are you kidding me?
They've already, right?
Exactly. They ripped this man's life apart. By the way, you see it in the Epstein emails that came out yesterday, how they scheme against him. That's kind of how I saw it. But
it would have been the first thing 10 years ago
100%.
when he's coming down the escalator.
That's exactly right. And here's what I think is, look, the Bible talks about when someone makes a claim, wait to have judgment until you hear the other side, right? Like the Bible's very clear about that. Like, give both sides the opportunity before you weigh on your judgment. Like when they released the Martin Luther King files, like the family has to go out there and say, hold on, what you're about to hear are a bunch of allegations. Like nothing was ever proven in court. And somebody sent a tip to the FBI, and this is going to find its way into these files. And I think that there's probably a lot of that here, where you have guys that are still alive with rando allegations that popped up, and now part of the concern is that these guys are going to have to go out there and defend themselves, because you know that the minute that this pops up, it's going to be everywhere, right? And they're going to have to it's going to be PR teams and legal teams, and none of this wasn't proven in court. This is just an allegation and all that stuff. So I think that's part of it. But I'm only guessing. I don't know why this hasn't been.
That makes sense, though.
Yeah.
I mean, it does. I realize most of it is political, but the problem is, as you and Billy talk about all the time, and everyone discusses this, it was, it wasn't a promise, but it was somewhat implied.
I think it was a promise. I do. I don't know. I think
did he promise that?
I thought he did.
I thought he. Yeah. I've heard two. If I recall, two sound bites where he says, "Yeah, I think we'll look into it," or I don't. I'm not certain. I got to look for that. If
during the 2024 campaign,
promise.
he was on Fox News and said he will declassify the Epstein files.
Okay.
So
he
did
will
say,
declassify.
he said he will. So yeah, again.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Campaign promises. I think this is a great thing because everything has to be exposed. It's not going to go away ever unless Democrats are in office. So that's when it goes away.
Does this make you respect Lauren Boebert more?
Yeah.
She's one of 4 Republicans.
Yes. Yeah. To me, it does.
It does to me too.
Yeah.
I like people that will do the right thing even if makes their friends mad.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Yeah,
I'm
I like it
I'm
as
right
well.
there with you.
I'm always the person that likes to cause the problem, so I like that. If the rest of the group says, no, this is a bad idea, I'm like, let's examine this.
Exactly. I mean, what are you afraid of exactly?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way I look at it and approach it. I agree.
Yeah, kind of like when you meet a snake, it's like, well, how big are the teeth? There are questions you got to know.
Exactly, says the snake guy.
Yes.
The president will sign an executive order today on foster care. The signing ceremony will take place at the White House with First Lady Melania. The executive order is reportedly focused on support for youth in foster care who age out of the system and enter adulthood. Nuggets at the Clippers last night. Man, this dude.
Jokic has it. Snap it out. Christian's got it. Give it to Jokic. Running like a horse.
All right, Chris Marlowe, nice job. Jokic, golly, 55. Not 55, but 55 drops on the Clippers, 12 boards and 6 assists. He's the best player in basketball.
He's insane. He's so good.
Yeah,
It's ridiculous.
It's incredible. And he's been the best player in basketball the last 5 years.
Yeah, he has.
Should have been the MVP the last 5 years. But no, can't do that. No.
Because he doesn't do the fancy stuff above the rim and do the thingy and the swingy
That's right.
and stuff. Yeah.
He doesn't do that thing called jump.
Yeah, and still waxes everybody else in the court. That's the funniest thing.
Could you imagine if he had a vertical of a half an inch?
Oh, exactly. Imagine what he could do. Yeah, that's the part they can't figure it out. They're like, wait, this guy doesn't look like, and he's still whipping the pants off of most of you guys. It's fantastic.
It's just incredible, man.
Yeah,
it really is. And I hate the NBA, but he's brought back joy to me.
I agree with you.
I'm
not in love with the NBA. I got some real problems with it, but yeah, he has brought back a lot of joy, and I enjoy seeing because of what he's doing to change how you see the game.
Yes.
Because he is absolutely the best passer in the league. He's a center. That's the
right.
part. It's like,
exactly. Exactly.
Oh, it's
he
wonderful.
shoots better than shooting guards.
Yeah,
so.
exactly. There's just on a side note that it gives me joy. Like there is a striker for England named Harry Kane who's playing for Bayern Munich. And there's been a
perfect name, by the way.
Oh yeah, and if you look at him, he looks so British. And if you hear him talk, so British. And if you see his teeth, so British. Everything about him. And the funny thing is you watch, and recently in some of the heat maps on the field where you watch where he's playing. He's playing more in the defensive third than as a striker. He's playing in the offensive third. And people are like, wait, when you look at that, why is he doing that? And then you realize what he's done is he's going into positions where other people aren't going to mark him. And then he is delivering these ridiculous, like 80-yard passes on a rope to his teammates. And he's unlocking the defense on another level because he's realized nobody's tracking back to mark him. So he's going to be the open pivot, turn around. Oh, there's one where thing's 80 yards and curls around the defender right into the path of his winger that is streaking up the side. And I'm looking at that going, that's what Jokic is doing. That's what Jokic is doing on a nightly basis on the NBA. The same thing. Wow. Yeah, breaking the concept of the player.
This guy's like the Shohei Ohtani of soccer.
Yes, yeah, he is. The way that he's playing right now, he has changed his game. And he does things that a number 9 shouldn't. And that's the same thing that Jokic is doing. Jokic is doing stuff on a nightly basis that a center should never be able to do. And he just rewrites the book every single night.
That's awesome.
It's cool.
I got to check out this Harry guy.
I'll have to show you. I'll send you a video to watch. Just there's a series of highlights where you're just like, damn. Okay, again? Damn. Yeah, just over and over again. Yeah, I'll show it to you. Yeah.
One day I'll understand that sport.
We'll spend an afternoon in a bar
Yes,
and
we
you'll
will.
get it. Yeah, you'll get it.
You are going to tutor me.
I will explain it to you in the terms of football. Once you see it in
Yes,
terms of football,
please.
it'll totally make sense. I'm not saying
Yes.
you're going to like it. I'm just saying you're going to understand it. That's it. That's all I'm looking for. That's
You
it.
know
Yeah.
me well,
exactly,
man.
Yeah, exactly.
The Buffalo Sabres in town tonight take on the Avalanche and the Broncos with another big day on the practice field today as they prepare for the AFC West division game against the Chiefs. Sean Payton.
It's a good question. Look, the players are aware of division games, and certainly there's great respect for a team that's had the staying power that they've had. So, you've worked hard to put yourself in a position to play a game like this at home. We'll play in bigger games.
42 in Centennial, 41 in Lakewood, 43 in Denver. Jeff and Billy continue. News Talk 710, KNUS.
We'll continue with this unseasonably warm, dry weather until we get to the end of the weekend and into next week when the weather does finally begin to change and get a little bit more like November. Short term, though, unseasonably warm. Temperatures getting into the upper 60s and lower to mid-70s today. 60s and lower 70s Friday and Saturday. Increasingly cloudy 60s Sunday. Chance of showers Sunday night into Monday. And as we get into Sunday night, Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday and next week, expect a cooling trend. Meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Did you see this article in the Wall Street Journal about the secret meetings that ended the shutdown?
Yes, I did see
Crazy.
that.
They were like sneaking into things.
I know, it's like, and you wonder at that point, it's like, psst, hey, pass it on. I was going to eat me tonight at 12. How do you organize that? And and I love the fact that there were the moderate Democrats that were like, this is just stupid, which to me is an indictment of Chuck Schumer. It's an indictment of his leadership. They didn't think he was going to get anything done. They thought it was dumb. They thought that they weren't progressing. And if they thought that there was any chance of getting what they needed out of this, they would have continued. But Chuck didn't keep his little doggies in a row.
This was crazy. This reminds me of, I talked to Neil Gorsuch one time about how he had to sneak out of his house when they were planning who the next U.S. Supreme Court pick was going to be, and media was all camping outside everybody's house. He had to hike out the back door up through the woods and get into the back of a car and then lie down.
Oh, no.
And then drive around to get to the airport to fly to Washington, D.C., which is so funny.
Crazy. That is crazy. And the other part you got to look at, what about that, the D.C. News gatherers? How did this midnight meeting take place with all of them and nobody knew as well?
Yeah.
There wasn't any sort of a leak. There wasn't any sort of, now, of course, we're finding out
with
about
staff and stuff like that. Because these offices are big. Senate offices. Congressional offices are real small. They're like maybe 7 to 10 people that work for each congressman. They're not big. But Senate staff are like 50, 60 people.
And the other part is, again, these Senate staffers, which are younger, and sometimes trafficking the gossip raises your profile inside the staffer. So the idea that, psst, I know something. Yeah, the fact that there weren't any real loose lips beforehand, I think, is somewhat admirable based on the staffs, because the first thing that people would have run is to go tell Chuck, go to Schumer and say, hey, these guys are betraying you. But no. And again, I also think that the layers and layers and layers of this is just an indictment of how ineffective Schumer is as the Democrat leader, because if they were worried about going behind his back, they wouldn't have done it. If people were worried about Chuck Schumer keeping everybody in line, the staffers would have talked. There are just series of choices that were made that shows that Schumer was just carved out of this because he is incredibly ineffectual, being the leadership, arm inside the Democrat Party in the Senate.
What's wild, too, is how the president refusing to negotiate essentially forced the hand of these moderates. Listen to this. This is the Wall Street Journal, the secret meeting that ended the shutdown. The turning point in the government's longest shutdown didn't involve President Trump or Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer. Instead, after the Senate adjourned for the day and most reporters had emptied out of the halls, a small group of breakaway Democrats and an independent slipped unnoticed into the office of Senate Majority Leader John Thune. John's a good guy, by the way. He and I have joked because we went to rival Christian colleges. The shutdown was nearing the 1 month mark, and the group was growing antsy as federal workers missed paychecks and food aid programs ran out of money. 2 nights before Halloween, the senator sat down with Thune, ready to reopen the government. People familiar with the meeting said it was a group of people trying to solve a problem, said Maine Senator Angus King, an independent who caucuses with Democrats and helped lead the negotiations. I was always wondering when this group was going to pop up, because every shutdown, it does eventually.
You had been talking about that. You were asking about where's this gang of whatever it is. Where are they?
Right. And they were there secretly, all alone.
And again, working behind the scenes, not publicly, but against Schumer. Again, layers here.
The meeting, one of several, had been requested by King and other centrists, including New Hampshire's Democrat Senator Jeanne Shaheen and Maggie Hassan, all former governors. Republicans in attendance were Thune and John Hoeven of North Dakota, also a former governor and senior member of the Powerful Appropriations Committee. The group told Schumer they were talking to Thune and read him into their discussions, but Schumer didn't participate directly, according to the senators involved. Schumer wanted to extend the shutdown, arguing Trump would eventually engage in talks himself and they would get a better deal, one that would address expiring Obamacare health insurance subsidies that Democrats had made their central demand in the shutdown fight. People familiar with Schumer's position had said. The talks between the centrists and Republicans ultimately produced an agreement that would end the standoff, but divided Democrats, with some seeing it as a failure of Schumer's gamble that he could hold his caucus together long enough to force Trump to the negotiating tables. But what was interesting in this was that Trump not engaging was like the wall that the Democrats ran up against.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like that essentially forced their hand.
Yeah.
I do think, look, you and I disagree on this. I've read The Art of the Deal.
Yeah.
I think he's a brilliant deal maker. I think he's a genius deal maker. And it comes out in this article.
Yeah. See, the thing for me is that it shows how, I guess I would say, how bad the strategy of the Democrats were. They were just like, we're going to hold out, we're going to hold out. There could have been other things, because if you look at this deal, again, they got a promise at some point in the future, at some time to be determined, there's going to be a debate and a vote just in the Senate. That's nothing to advance anything at all. Right. And that's the issue, is that Schumer obviously didn't communicate to his caucus that just getting a vote in the Senate doesn't get you anywhere because of the House and because of Trump. That if we want to affect this change, we need to do X, Y, and Z. And the other thing, okay, there are a couple of things that I find interesting, that a few of the members previous to this compromise deal have done interviews about how strong they are. And one of them, and I forget which one, I want to say it was Kaine, came out and said that, I'm pretty sure it's Tim Kaine, that came out during an interview and said, you know what? if we get just a promise of a vote, that's a loss. We can't do that. That is not enough. And then he voted for just the promise of a vote. So the stuff that he had just weeks before said was a non-starter, he went back and actually agreed to, which I find very interesting. The other thing that I think is rather interesting is that all 6 that were involved in this are not up for re-election next cycle. I think that's telling. I think that's very, very telling. Now, in liberal circles, I've seen this on the Blue Skies, that there is a conspiracy theory that Schumer wanted this. That Schumer was the one that he actually found out about the deal behind the scenes is the idea. And
this one says that he was totally aware of it.
Yeah, that's the thing is, and what they're saying is that he's aware of it and he wanted it because he wanted an out that wouldn't put people up for re-election in danger, especially his own little bacon. That he was so worried about him that he was okay with ending the shutdown as long as people that were safe in the next election cycle were the ones to break the deal. And that's what the Blue Skies are running with right now, that Schumer is not only an ineffective leader, but, he's a duplicitous one, too. So that's going to be interesting to see how that foments.
4D chess? Wow.
I don't think he's that smart.
I think you guys give politicians too much credit.
Yeah, way too much credit. Way too much credit. You've seen how he treats cheese. Yeah, that's not going to work. Yeah.
Well, join the conversation. Are you thrilled? What are you doing to celebrate Happy Government Opening Day, all you socialists? The money's flowing back in. You going to throw a party? Are you going to go have a steak dinner? Do you work for an NGO now? And now the money's going to come back? Yeah, that's right.
I don't know.
303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line at 720-819-5115. All right, discover incredible savings at the Mountain High Appliance Clearance Center in Denver. Their clearance center offers a huge selection of ranges, refrigerators, washers, dryers, and more. Save up to 60% on open box, scratch, and dent display models and overstocked appliances from Bosch, Thermador, KitchenAid, and many more. When you're looking for great deals on appliances, think Mountain High Appliance Clearance Center for the best prices and selection. Their address, 601 East 64th Avenue in Denver. 601 East 64th Avenue in Denver, a Mountain High Appliance. All right, we'll continue. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710, KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Lots of Epstein emails released, like 20,000 or something like that from the Republicans and Democrats yesterday. Nothing super incriminating in my mind. It seems like the intention to entrap Trump was interesting from Wolf, the quote-unquote journalist trying to talk Jeffrey Epstein into essentially entrapping Donald Trump. Here's what the New York Times says. The House Oversight Committee on Wednesday released more than 20,000 pages of documents from Jeffrey Epstein's estate. House Democrats on Wednesday released several emails that were obtained from the estate of sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, saying they showed that President Trump may have been more aware of Mr. Epstein's conduct than he has publicly acknowledged. Soon after, House Republicans released more than 20,000 pages of Mr. Epstein's documents, including a vast trove of his emails and other messages covering a period of many years. So what stood out to me, as I mentioned, was this effort by Michael Wolff, to essentially get Epstein to entrap Trump in a way that would sabotage his presidency. Like there was scheming taking place. Like, you can take this guy down and you need to.
Yeah.
And you should use your power to do so. And Epstein never did.
Yeah. And that's kind of Wolf's thing. I mean, I sort of have a love-hate relationship with him. Been on a couple of shows where he's been interviewed. I was behind the scenes at the time, so it wasn't me doing the talky stuff.
Yeah.
And the thing for me that the reason I have a difficult relationship, and I mean that in air quotes, as far as, how much I trust him and how much I read into him, is because I feel that he traffics in sometimes an equal amount of gossip and an equal amount of fact. And I think there are times in which he leans way too much into gossip. Now, he is accurate on some things that he's reported, but then there's some other stuff that he was wildly inaccurate with. I think there was one time he was floating the idea that Trump and Nikki Haley were having some sort of a relationship, like romantic relationship. And there was nothing there. But he has been right on some other things. So that's why I have sort of a love-hate relationship with what Michael Wolff does. It's almost like
you have to do this in the media. I mean, that's all Candace Owens says.
I know. That is part of it.
People, I put out on X my headache over having to listen to Candace Owens. And they're like, but what if 1% of what she says is right?
That's okay. Here's the problem, though, is that the people that sit there and say, what if the 1%, it's the 1% that you always look at as being the absolute worst. You're not looking at the 1% of the idea that, like, let's say if she says, well, Joseph Stalin was married to a Jewish woman and was anti-Semitic. Well, the 1% that she could be correct on is that Joseph Stalin was married. Everything beyond that could be complete crap. So it depends on which percent is right. That's incredibly important in the discussion. I want to ask you something.
Yes.
Now, in the emails, the line that seemed to be running like wildfire, at least in the social media circles I was seeing, was the idea that Trump spent several hours alone with one of the victims that we now believe is that has been identified. That was passed away. That's in the book that she was there with him for several hours. That was the thing that was running wild. Yeah, please, if you can. If you got it in front of you.
Epstein to, I can never say her name.
Yeah, it was Maxwell.
Maxwell?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. Let's just say Maxwell. Yeah.
This was 2011, April 2nd. I want you to realize that the dog that hasn't barked is Trump. The victim spent hours at my house with him, and he has never once mentioned police chief, etc. I'm 75% there. And she responds, I've been thinking a lot about that.
Yeah.
That's a Rorschach test, because what is he talking about?
Yeah, and how you read into that, absolutely.
So what did you see? I'll let you start.
Now, the thing is, I was seeing on social media a lot of people drawing the conclusion that Trump is in on the sexual relationships with the girls, and he obviously was having a romantic, romantic evening, which again, okay, people, if we go back to what the mattress actress had said about Trump, he's not spending several hours. She said that he wasn't up for that. So I'm just saying, just in general, that's not the kind of thing. And so people were going wild on that.
Can we hold each other?
Yeah, exactly. We just need to cuddle, talk about our feelings. I don't think that's what they were doing. But that was going wild on it. And for me, what I saw was a feeling of safety from Epstein and Maxwell. What I mean by that is they felt comfortable leaving Trump with one of the victims and for hours and not being worried about anything, meaning that they weren't worried that she was going to turn to Trump and say, oh my God, you got to help me call the police. We got to do this. You will not believe what's happening. There was something there. I was never convinced in that email that Trump was involved in the abuse, the human trafficking, or anything else with the girls. But it seemed to show to me enough of a comfortable relationship that Epstein would leave one of the victims that could really, really be a problem for him in the future alone with Trump for hours, meaning he didn't view him as a potential leak, which again, the dog that didn't bark. That's what I saw in it. I saw a feeling of safety that makes me go, oh, I'm not whole comfortable with that. But again, I don't see anything in that says that Trump's an abuser.
Yeah, and I could see the criticism there that, okay, Trump was friends with him, clearly, and never ran out there and told people of all the crazy, terrible things that he saw. I think there's a lot of assumptions that Trump would be aware of everything. And I think after the fact, you can sometimes build a case. So, for instance, let's say, hypothetically, a member of this broadcast team was engaging in illegal snake breeding operations, right? And after the fact, people are like, well, you talked all the time about the fact that your partner loved snakes, and you're not aware of it. And I'd be like, no, I don't I've never even been to his house. Yeah. So I could see that kind of critique happening that Trump spent time with the victim. Yeah. But is Trump the type of guy, and is she... The victim testified later in a lawsuit that Trump was never aware of anything that was taking place there.
Yeah. Which again,
I think
could be perfectly fair. That could be perfectly fair. And the thing for me is that it showed a level of comfort that Epstein wasn't concerned the victim was going to turn and rat him out, that he felt that Trump was enough of an ally that wasn't going to happen. And I'm not saying that Trump was there saying, I'm going to protect my friend Jeffrey for whatever. I'm saying in part, I'm seeing it as the victim didn't view Trump in some ways, possibly. And again, I am reading into this. I know that I'm just coming right out of the other orifice in my body that's not talking loudly right now. It's the other one that's kind of stinky. I understand that I'm talking on my rear end. But I'm seeing that as the victim possibly not seeing Trump as an avenue to get out,
to talk about
for
that.
help.
And maybe she did. Maybe she didn't at that point,
exactly. Too. And you would know that if you were in that situation, you would probably have identified people around you that you figure may make that phone call for you and people that aren't. And it doesn't mean that all of them are abusing you. There are just maybe some people in that circle that are allies and some that aren't. And that's what I read into that email.
In 2016, Miss Guy-Free, I think is her name, the victim, was asked in a civil case if Mr. Trump had witnessed the sexual abuse of minors in Mr. Epstein's home. And she said, I don't think Donald Trump participated in anything. A representative of Mr. Guy-Free's family, Miss Guy-Free's family, declined to comment. I think is this the same woman that had committed suicide?
Yeah, same woman,
Yeah. So, and by the way, she has a book that's come out recently about Prince Andrew and everything. Yeah. So there's a few ways I look at that. She was clearly not so intimidated she wasn't willing to take on powerful men.
Exactly.
Right? So that's clear. But you read her book and you just feel so sorry. I mean, it started with her dad.
Yeah, exactly.
And then her dad passing it around to friends. And
what does that do to you psychologically if that person is the father figure in your life says this is okay and then lets it happen? it has got to break your entire worldview in a way that's absolutely ridiculous. And on a side note, I'm glad that you brought up Prince Andrew. I was doing a trivia down at the dry dock last night, and one of the questions was, which British royal recently lost their title and their residence because of being released, their name being released in the Epstein files? And it was a whole bunch of princes. And of course, the answer is Prince Andrew. But again, only 2 people in the bar got what I did there. But the song I played underneath, of course, the song Kiss by Prince. Had to. I couldn't resist that one.
Mr.
I
Thorpe.
couldn't resist that one.
All right,
Yeah.
we'll continue. Speaking of Bill Thorpe, we have his You Choose the News coming up. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. It's that time of the Thursday morning to get you going with some You Choose the News.
Yes, it is that time of the morning where we do something that is not normally on the schedule playlist, at least as far as the programmers know. Yes, we break all the rules this morning with you on KNUS. This is America's favorite fake radio news game show, You Choose the News. Yep, the people in charge have no idea we are doing this, so shh, it's a giant secret. Don't ruin this. All right, now, as always, I have browsed the interwebs for mere moments. giving these stories even more ridiculous headlines so that we can play this silly fake radio news game show because it's a lot of fun. And this is what happens when Jeff and I are left unsupervised. Alrighty, as always, Blake Olson joins us from the news department. Gentlemen, here are our questionable headlines. Headline number 1, keeping it in the family. Headline number 2, I'm an influencer. Headline number 3, unusual job application. And headline number 4, quite a humble brag. Mr. Hunt, your choice.
We'll start with quite the humble brag.
Yeah, this is quite the humble brag. You know, recently, Kevin Ottomar is a project foreman from West Palm Beach, Florida. And if you're browsing online, you may notice that Kevin looks very similar to Caleb Wilson, who's a North Carolina college alumnus. But browsing even further on some of these sites, you meet Wilson Davis. He's a Marine, an engineer, lives in Ireland, but, God, looks a lot like Kevin and like Caleb. Well, the thing is, all three of these men have 2 things in common. First, they're not real. Second, they are actually the picture of Scott Cole, a 63-year-old Tai Chi yoga and fitness trainer in Palm Springs, California. Cole says since about 2010, he has been at the center of romance scam nightmares. It's a seemingly never-ending stream of fraudulent accounts where they use his face as the front. Yes, he is saying that I am so damn handsome that all these people are running scams using my picture because obviously women cannot refuse this. Have I told you? I'm a Tai Chi and yoga and fitness trainer. Yes, ladies. Okay, so yeah, basically it's a fun story that Scott's just saying that he's going around the interweb all the time with a whole bunch of scams, and he said it's actually puts a knot in his stomach the number of times that he can do a basic search on any dating account site and find his face on a variety of different profiles, and the social media sites don't give a damn. They always say, we'll review this one, but then
any time.
No, they don't care. They do not care. So yeah, he said it's really frustrating. There's nothing really he can do. So yeah, I know. I know, but quite a humble brag.
I'm so handsome.
I'm so handsome. Everybody's using my picture to scam the ladies. So, okay, Blake, your choice, sir. Keeping it in the family, I'm an influencer, or unusual job application.
Unusual job application.
Yeah, really unusual job application for a man in Hamilton City recently. It was about 9 p.m. at night. A bus driver takes a break at the McNabb bus terminal, a little short break that he's required to do, and that's when a 36-year-old man decided to live his dream. He boarded the bus, sat down in the driver's seat, and drove away. Now, here's the kicker. The bus is an extra long articulated model. You know, the thing that has the little accordion thing in the middle?
Yes.
Yeah. So he drove this thing around town, making stops along the way, allowing passengers to get on and off at bus stops. At any point in time, there were at least 10 passengers on the bus, and he did a great job, according to the arresting officers and the bus company. Said it's comical, it's real serious, but nobody was hurt, but dude did the job.
Need a job?
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is at first, the passengers didn't realize that he wasn't the right bus driver, but then he started making some wrong turns and asking the passengers where the route is supposed to be. He even went so far as to deny someone entrance who had an expired bus pass. That's how stickler he was for the rules. Now, again, here's the crazy part. The dude's actually homeless right now and needs some help. So this is the perfect solution. Give him a job as a bus driver. He has no training
he's not
and didn't do anything.
asking for a job. He's just taking the job.
I know. He said yes and did a great job at it.
Real
I'm like, let's do this.
go-getter right there, folks.
I know. How would you not want this dude on your bus and driving it? This is great.
Exactly.
Oh, this is wonderful. I think I'm going to be a pilot today. See me at DIA later. See what happens. I've always wanted to follow that dream. Okay.
By the way, there was a whole movie with Leonardo DiCaprio, Catch Me If You Can.
Yes,
and
I
that
know.
whole thing was a scam. Did you hear about that?
Oh, really? The whole movie or
No, like what that guy said about what he did with his life was a scam.
Oh, yeah, of course.
He
Surprise.
scammed Leonardo DiCaprio and all the other people.
Yeah, to say they did all this. Yeah, of course. A scam on top of scam. Who knew?
Right.
Yeah. Who knew they didn't do enough research on the scammer? Okay. Alrighty. Now, Jeff, keeping it in the family or I'm an influencer?
Thorpe, you know this. I am an influencer.
Yes, I am an influencer. In North Carolina, a woman is going to have to pony up $1.7 million after a jury has found her liable for destroying a Durham couple's marriage. But wait. She's an influencer. A lawsuit was filed in Durham County Court accusing Brene Kennard, an influencer that has nearly 3 million followers on the Tickety Talks and over 270,000 followers on Instagram, for seducing and having an affair with her manager, Tim Montague. And she posted about it online. In North Carolina, there's an alienation of affection law that allows a spouse to sue a person they blame for an affair. She was found guilty. She's got to pay up almost $2 million.
There should be more of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like that.
All right, that's the end of You Choose the News. Back to you, sir.
All right, coming up, we're going to talk Candace Owens' latest. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
We are Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710, KNUS.